But this belief, although comforting, is far from an absolute truth. How many good people do you know who have been used, forgotten, or even humiliated? How many times have you done the right thing only to receive indifference or even betrayal instead of recognition? The reality is that being good in itself is not enough. Kindness without intelligence, without strategy, is merely a weakness waiting to be exploited. The fundamental error lies in believing that the world operates under the same rules we were taught in childhood. But the real world does not reward the righteous. It rewards those who know how to play the game. Have you noticed how the most successful people are not always the most generous? How those who help others the most often end up overwhelmed, while opportunists keep asking without ever giving back? This happens because naive kindness turns you into a resource, something to be exploited by those who see no limits to their own advantage. Machiavelli was one of the first to expose this dynamic with brutal honesty. He understood that human nature is not pure and altruistic, but rather driven by self-interest. He did not say that kindness is a mistake, but that kindness without strategy is a trap. A good person who does not set boundaries will always be used by those who see an opportunity in them. On the other hand, someone who knows how to measure their kindness, who understands when to say no, becomes a respected, not disposable figure. You may have good intentions, but if you do not know how to protect your own interests, you will be exploited. If you believe that merely being a good person will make others reciprocate in kind, you will end up disappointed countless times. Respect does not come solely from gentleness, but from strength, from the ability to say enough, from the intelligence to carefully choose where and with whom to invest your energy. The real mistake is not in being good, but in not knowing how far to go with that goodness. True kindness is not blind. It does not throw itself to the wind, waiting for someone to appreciate it. It is selective, conscious, and strategic. The person who understands this does not stop helping, but learns to help without being exploited. They learn to set clear limits, demand respect, and distance themselves from those who only want to drain their energy. Because believe it, the more you give without discretion, the more people will demand from you. And when you finally cannot give any more, you will be discarded without hesitation. So ask yourself, is your kindness strengthening you or making you vulnerable? Until you learn to balance kindness with strategy, you will continue to be a plaything in the hands of those who know how to exploit your naivety. The world is not a fairy tale, and kindness without intelligence will not protect you. It needs to be used consciously, strategically, with the clear understanding that not everyone deserves your best. Here come videos that will make your life better every week. Subscribe so you don't miss out. The world doesn't play fair, the reality no one wants to accept. If there is one dangerous belief that many people carry, it is the idea that the world is just. From a young age, we are told that those who do good receive good, that the universe returns everything we give, and that justice always prevails. But the truth, as uncomfortable as it may be, is different. The world does not follow a moral code. It does not reward the kindest. It does not protect the most righteous, nor does it punish those who cheat. Those who believe that being correct is enough for things to work out are merely preparing themselves for an inevitable disappointment. Reality is filled with examples of this. Manipulative people climb to the top, while honest ones remain stuck in lowly positions. Unscrupulous leaders accumulate power, while the kind-hearted are ignored. Relationships are often based on convenience and self-interest, not on principles. If the world were as just as many believe, why would these situations be so common? The answer is simple. Because the world does not reward merit. It rewards those who know how to play by the invisible rules that govern society. Machiavelli understood this logic centuries ago. He saw human beings as they really are, selfish, unstable, and driven by self-interest. He did not romanticize human nature or try to fit it into an idealized view of morality. On the contrary, he revealed that those who understand the true workings of power can manipulate it in their favor, while those who refuse to see this reality end up frustrated. The greatest weakness of those who insist on believing that the world plays fair is predictability. Such people become easy to manipulate because they follow rules that not everyone adheres to. They believe that if they are kind, others will be too. That if they are honest, they will be rewarded. But those who understand the game know they can exploit this mentality. They know they can take advantage of those who always act in good faith, and thus, the naive are used while strategists thrive. Does this mean you need to be immoral and manipulative? Not at all. It means you need to learn to protect yourself. You need to understand that there are times to be generous and times to pull back. That there are people who deserve your help and people who just want to use it. The error lies not in kindness, but in the lack of discernment. And the greatest mistake of all is to keep playing a fair game on a board where the rules are dirty. Accepting this reality may be uncomfortable, but it is also liberating. Because when you understand that the world is not just, you stop expecting recognition for your kindness. You stop being disappointed when your good deeds are not reciprocated, and, more importantly, you learn to use kindness strategically, as a valuable resource, not as a burden. Naive kindness versus strategic kindness. The difference between being used and being respected. Many people confuse kindness with weakness. They believe that to be good, they must always be available, help without question, and place the needs of others above their own. But this approach not only fails to create respect, it invites others to exploit you. Being a good person does not mean being naive. Machiavelli teaches us that true kindness must be accompanied by strategy, or it will only be a burden that others will use for their own benefit. The difference between naive kindness and strategic kindness lies in setting limits. The naive believe that the more they give, the more they will be valued. They give without restrictions, fulfill every request, forgive repeatedly, and believe that their effort will be recognized. But the reality is harsh. The more you give without criteria, the less people value you. Humans tend to disregard what is abundant and free. If your kindness has no limits, it will be seen as something guaranteed, not as something valuable. Strategic kindness, on the other hand, understands that helping others should be a conscious act, not a blind obligation. People who master this art know when to extend a hand and when to hold back. They know that offering help to those who do not value it is a waste of energy. They know that giving without criteria is an invitation to be exploited. Strategic kindness does not mean selfishness, but rather emotional intelligence and the awareness that not everyone deserves what you have to offer. Think of those people who are admired and respected. They are kind, but they are not fools. They choose their battles wisely, help those who deserve it, and do not hesitate to say no when necessary. They are not afraid to set boundaries because they understand that respect comes from the balance between kindness and firmness. The naive fear displeasing others and, as a result, end up giving too much. The strategist knows that it is not always possible to please everyone and does not fear imposing their position. Machiavelli shows us that kindness should be a tool, not a chain. If you want to be a good person without being exploited, you need to learn to measure your actions. That means knowing when to speak and when to remain silent, when to help and when to let others fend for themselves. It means understanding that saying no is not being unkind, but rather protecting your own energy and value. Those who do not learn this lesson sooner or later find themselves surrounded by people who only take and never give back. The great mistake of naive people is believing that others will follow the same rules they do. They expect gratitude where there is no commitment, expect reciprocity where there is only self-interest, and are disappointed when they realize that not everyone sees the world the same way. But the error does not lie with others. It lies in not understanding how the game works. You cannot control how people act, but you can control how you respond to them. So ask yourself, are you being good in an intelligent way, or are you just becoming an easy target? True kindness does not mean being exploited. It means being respected. And respect only exists when there is a balance between generosity and firmness. If you do not establish that balance, you will always be seen as disposable, a resource to be used and then forgotten. The world does not need more naive people being drained by opportunists. It needs kind people who know their own value and act with intelligence. If you do not learn this difference, you will continue to be used by those who already understand it. The power of perception. How to be strong without losing your essence. In the world we live in, reality matters less than perception. You can be strong, but if others see you as weak, you will be treated as weak. You can be intelligent, but if you do not know how to demonstrate that intelligence, you will be ignored. The way people perceive you defines how they treat you. And if you do not learn to control that perception, you will constantly be underestimated and exploited. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone and taught us that power is not only about who you are, but also about how you present yourself to the world. Many people believe that being good, hardworking, and honest is enough for others to recognize their value. But the truth is that competence without presence is invisibility. The world does not reward the most capable, but those who know how to project authority. If you do not inspire confidence and respect, people will not take you seriously. And if they do not take you seriously, your voice will lose weight, your opinions will be disregarded, and your needs will be ignored. The key to avoiding this is to learn to control your image. This does not mean being fake or living a facade, but rather understanding how others see you and adjusting that perception in your favor. If you appear fragile, you will be treated as fragile. If you act hesitantly, no one will trust your decisions. If you talk too much about your weaknesses, people will use that against you. What you project to the world is as important as who you truly are. Many mistakenly believe that demonstrating strength is synonymous with aggressiveness or coldness. It is not. True authority comes from a balance between presence and emotional control. People who truly master how others perceive them do not need to shout, impose, or intimidate. Their mere presence conveys confidence. They speak less, but their words carry more weight. They do not try to please everyone, and that is precisely why they are respected. They do not constantly justify themselves because they know that over-explaining makes one appear guilty. Have you ever noticed how some people enter a room and are immediately noticed? How some manage to command respect without having to demand it? This happens because they have learned to manage their own perception. They know that the image they project determines how they will be treated. If you want to be taken seriously, you need to work on that perception. You need to learn to speak firmly, maintain the right posture, choose your words carefully, and never seem desperate for acceptance. Machiavelli said that a prince does not need to be good all the time, but he needs to appear good. This lesson applies to anyone who wants to navigate the world without being manipulated or underestimated. If the way others see you does not correspond to your true strength, it is time to change that narrative. Because in the end, what matters is not just who you are, but how you manage to be perceived. Silence, mystery, and influence. What Machiavelli teaches us about control. The greatest weakness of many people is talking too much. They believe that to be understood and accepted, they need to explain everything, share all their thoughts, justify every decision, and open up completely. But this need for transparency can be a trap. In a world where information is power, being excessively open makes you vulnerable. Machiavelli teaches us that silence and mystery are powerful tools, and that those who know how to use them wield much more influence than those who reveal everything they think. When you reveal too much, you lose control over the narrative. People begin to predict your moves, understand your weaknesses, and anticipate your decisions. The more predictable you are, the easier it is for others to manipulate you. On the other hand, when you maintain a certain level of mystery, you generate respect, intrigue, and even fear. No one easily attacks what they cannot decipher. Great leaders, strategists, and figures of power are never completely transparent. They share information in a calculated manner, revealing only what is necessary and always maintaining an air of uncertainty around them. They know that silence can be as powerful as speech, and that those who speak less often command more. The secret is not only what you say, but also what you choose not to say. Silence also gives you a psychological advantage over others. In any interaction, the person who speaks less generally controls the conversation better. They observe, analyze, and choose their words carefully. Meanwhile, those who speak without a filter end up revealing their intentions, their fears, and even their weaknesses. If you have ever been in a negotiation or discussion where someone remained calm while others talked too much, you must have noticed the power of silence. But this does not simply mean staying quiet. It means learning to use words strategically. A true master of influence speaks only the essentials, conveys strength without over-explaining, and leaves others curious about their true intentions. They do not give in easily, do not justify themselves unnecessarily, and do not provide ammunition for those who might use their words against them. Machiavelli believed that a leader should know how to hide their true intentions whenever necessary. He was not talking about lies or gratuitous manipulation, but about controlling information. Those who know how to measure what they share have an advantage over those who say everything without thinking. This applies at work, in relationships, in business, and in any other aspect of life. Silence and mystery are not just forms of protection. They are forms of power. And those who learn to use them become far more influential than those who are trapped in the need to talk too much. The question remains, are you in control of what others know about you, or are you unknowingly handing over your cards? Why authority trumps simple kindness? Many people believe that to be respected, they must be kind and pleasant all the time. But how many times have you seen someone be kind and yet be ignored, underestimated, or even ridiculed? This happens because, in the game of power, simple kindness is not enough. Respect does not come from isolated kindness, but from the presence of authority. Think of the figures who inspire you the most. They may be generous, but above all they are firm. They have a presence that commands respect, not because they shout or instill fear, but because they exude an aura of control and security. They are not desperate to please, and it is precisely that stance that makes them admired. Those who constantly feel the need to prove their kindness end up being seen as weak, while those who naturally project authority are valued effortlessly. This happens because humans respect strength, and here, strength does not mean aggressiveness or brutality. It means security. It means knowing how to say no without fear. It means not giving in to the need for approval. It means demonstrating that you do not need anyone's acceptance to feel complete. Machiavelli understood this profoundly, and made it clear that effective leaders are not those who try to be loved at any cost, but those who know how to balance respect and charisma. The problem with those who believe that merely being good is enough is that these people often fear confrontation. They avoid saying what they really think to avoid displeasing others, accept less than they deserve to avoid conflicts, and end up trapped in a cycle of frustration. Kindness without authority creates a pattern where others feel they can overstep your boundaries without consequence. That isn't kindness. It is disguised submission. Now think, how many times have you seen an incompetent person promoted simply because they impose themselves more than others? How many times do less qualified individuals advance in life, while the most capable remain invisible? This happens because the world does not reward only the talented. It rewards those who know how to position themselves, those who know how to project confidence, regardless of their merits. The perception of power often matters more than power itself. If you want your kindness to be valued, you must first ensure that your presence commands respect. You need to learn to set limits, communicate with confidence, and avoid the temptation to please everyone. Being good does not mean being passive. Kindness only has value when accompanied by firmness. And if you do not learn to balance these two forces, you will continue to be exploited by those who already understand this dynamic. In the end, the big question is, do you want to be just a good person or a good person who is also respected? Because without authority, your kindness will be just an irrelevant detail in the eyes of others. Stop being a player. Become the one who writes the rules. Most people spend their lives trying to play the world's game the way they were taught. They follow rules they never questioned, do what they think they must do, and expect that, in the end, everything will work out. But there is a problem with that mindset. Those who only follow rules never reach the top. Those who truly win are the ones who know how to shape the rules in their favor. Machiavelli understood this masterfully. He realized that the great names in history, the leaders, the visionaries, those who truly left their mark, never confined themselves to imposed norms. They understood that the world is not fixed, that social rules are malleable, and that those who know how to play with them can rewrite their own destiny. While most people are concerned with following the traditional path, strategists create new ones. Does that mean you should break all the rules? Not necessarily, but it does mean you need to understand that blind obedience has never led anyone to greatness. If you follow all the rules without questioning, you are merely living within someone else's system. You are operating within the expectations imposed on you, without realizing that there is room to create your own. Think of those moments when you felt frustrated for doing everything right and still not getting what you wanted. This happens because following rules imposed by others does not guarantee success. It only guarantees that you fit in. And if you want more than just to fit in, you need to start thinking strategically. You need to stop asking, "What should I do?" and start asking, "How can I redefine this situation in my favor?" The great leaders in history, the innovators, the visionaries, they all understood that to truly achieve something significant, one must stop playing the game and assume the role of the game's architect. They did not passively accept the conditions presented to them. They changed them. If they wanted something, they did not ask if it was allowed. They found a way to make it happen. The mistake most people make is believing that life is a fixed script where following the right steps is enough to achieve success. But reality is much more fluid than that. Those who have the courage to challenge the status quo, to create opportunities where none existed, to change the narrative rather than just follow it, are the ones who truly leave their mark. So the final question is, will you continue playing a game where the rules were set by others, or will you start writing your own rules? Because in the end, the choice is in your hands. The only difference between being a spectator and being a protagonist is your willingness to act strategically. The world belongs to those who know how to play, but above all, to those who know when to completely change the game.